Hey everybody, it's the Jimmy Dore Show. I'm Aaron Maté, sitting in for Jimmy, and we are joined by Matt Taibbi, journalist who writes at taibbi.substack.com and author of several books, and the lead reporter on the Twitter files, which we've been going through. So Matt, let's go to one of the newest revelations you have, which is this. You're going through these Twitter files and you reveal that that Twitter also received an astonishing variety of requests from officials asking for individuals they didn't like to be banned. Here, the Office for Democratic House Intelligence Committee Chief Adam Schiff asked Twitter to ban journalist Paul Sperry. And Paul Sperry is a journalist who writes for Real Clear Investigations, which I also write for, has done a lot of work exposing the Russiagate scam. Adam Schiff is the leading proponent, you could argue, of the Russiagate scam. And here he is asking Twitter to ban Paul Sperry's account. So, Matt Taibbi, what happened here?
Well, it's worse than that, because Paul Sperry was specifically the reporter who outed the name of the quote-unquote whistleblower that Adam Schiff was hyping during the Ukrainegate scandal. So he was kind of a thorn in Adam Schiff's side, and here he is sending a letter. I mean, I think this is an incredibly embarrassing letter for an elected official, saying we want this account and another account for a guy named Greg Rubini. We want them to be removed because they're, pushing QAnon conspiracies. And what's amusing is that even Twitter immediately is like, no, we don't do this. And which it stands out in the vast sea of requests that they kind of rubber stamp that they say no in this case. So that's a very embarrassing email for an elected official.
And did I read the email right that Schiff is also asking Twitter to ban all derogatory claims about a certain White House official who apparently was in touch with this whistleblower who triggered that Trump impeachment inquiry?
I believe it's actually a HIPSI staffer, like a House Intelligence Committee staffer.
Right, yeah. He used to be at the White House, and then he went and joined Schiff's committee. And Schiff is saying, can you basically censor anything negative said about him on Twitter? Did I read that correctly?
Yeah, that's what it says. You didn't misread that, which is, again, if we lived in an era when elected officials had to answer to stuff that came out in the news, I think it would be a big story. But unfortunately, that's not the case anymore.
And let's just remember who Adam Schiff is. Adam Schiff is the Democratic Congress member who claimed on national television back early on during Russiagate that he had seen secret evidence of Trump-Russia collusion that was more than circumstantial, that he wasn't allowed to talk about yet, right? Mm-hmm. He also read portions of the Steele dossier into the congressional record. And the Steele dossier is the Clinton campaign-funded collection of conspiracy theories that helped kick off Russiagate. And Adam Schiff is one of the biggest purveyors of disinformation in the country. And here he is asking a social media giant to censor a journalist who's critical of him, or at least who's reporting facts that don't make Adam Schiff and his causes look very good. And Twitter, after agreeing to so many requests from the government, was so taken aback that even they pushed back on this. So here's you writing in the Twitter files thread, "We don't do this." That's a quote. "Even Twitter declined to honor Schiff's request at the time, although Paul Sperry was later suspended nonetheless."
Yeah, and I wasn't able to get to the bottom of what the actual reason for his suspension was later on, but it is interesting that they declined to even escalate it, right? Because that's normally what would happen in this case. I saw a number of a pretty large number of emails like this that in some cases we're dealing with people who are genuinely abusive toward an elected official or a celebrity or whatever it is, and the almost inevitable response is, okay, we'll escalate that, and then it goes to the Trust and Safety Department and it has to be analyzed. They didn't even take that step. They just said no right away, which I think was pretty significant.
And they did, though, honor many other requests. And you write this: Twitter honored almost everyone else's requests, and even those from the Global Engagement Center, including a decision to ban accounts like Rebel Protests and BRICS Media because the GEC identified them as GRU controlled and linked to the Russian government, respectively. Did the GEC provide any evidence for these claims that they're controlled by the Russian government? And then, of course, the other question is, even if they were, why should they be banned by Twitter? But I guess that's a That's a separate question.
That's an interesting question because there was lots of email back and forth. I didn't include this, but there was lots of discussion like, can we ban this? Because this seems to be legal speech, right? Like, for instance, advertising bought by a foreign government that we don't like. But in this case, what I think was fascinating was kind of the follow-up email where there was a senior executive at Twitter who actually had a past with the CIA, and it's very telling. He says,
I have it here, Matt. I have it here. Yeah. This is from the thread. The GC requests were what a former CIA staffer working at Twitter was referring to when he said, "Our window on that is closing," meaning the days when Twitter could say no to serious requests were over.
Yeah, so he talks about the InfoBricks account and says, I always looked at that and said my way of dealing that would be to wait for more evidence, but our window on that is closing. Our government partners have become more aggressive, and we're just not going to be able to say no anymore. I thought that was an incredibly revealing passage. Because what you see after that is this sort of onslaught of requests that come from every corner of the government, and they're overwhelmed. Like, you can see it in the email record. Like, this is a massive undertaking. My email inbox is effed up now. Like, and they just don't know how to handle it.
Everybody, we're doing live stand-up comedy in Los Angeles in January and February in Los Angeles. And then we're going to Tempe, Palm Springs, Milwaukee, Minneapolis, Nashville. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets and become a premium member while you're there.